Millionaire husband's secret dinner date with mistress exposed when his pregnant wife walks in. They say secrets always come out in the end, but millionaire businessman Marcus Wilmington was certain his would never see the light of day. The whispered phone calls in the dead of night, the luxurious gifts arriving at odd hours, the inexplicable business trips that left his pregnant wife, Rachel, anxiously waiting at home. It was all part of a carefully orchestrated life until the unexpected night Rachel decided to surprise him at an upscale restaurant. Little did she know that the diamond bracelets and five-star dinners were not for her. The evening would change all their lives forever, unraveling a tangle of betrayal no one saw coming. Marcus Wilmington had grown up in a small suburban town in the outskirts of Chicago. As a teenager, he swore to himself that one day he would be rich enough never to have to hide from the world again. He despised secrets, or so he believed. The day he turned 18, he left behind the worn-down trailer. He shared with his alcoholic father and never looked back. With a mix of ambition and luck, he found opportunities in the bustling city, working menial jobs while studying business part-time. Over the next decade, Marcus was relentless. Late-night study sessions, weekend networking events, cold calls, and leaps of faith. By 35, he had built a multi-million-dollar empire, specializing in luxury real estate investments. He was, by all appearances, the epitome of a rags-to-riches success story, charismatic, financially savvy, and at ease in the swankiest social circles. When he married Rachel Wilmington, formerly Rachel Myers, people had cheered for them. Rachel was no stranger to ambition herself, an interior designer known for blending modern minimalism with earthy warmth. She was recognized across the country for her style. Her designs had graced the pages of popular magazines. Even more captivating was her ability to connect with people, forging genuine bonds wherever she went. They made a striking couple, Marcus with his tall, broad-shouldered frame, always in sharp suits tailored to perfection, and Rachel with her softly curled brunette hair and bright, empathetic eyes. On social media, they were the hashtag power couple, frequently posting snapshots of philanthropic events, lavish vacations, and heartfelt notes of love and appreciation. Friends and family, especially Rachel's sister Eliza, often remarked on the couple's perfect life. But perfect lives can hide the deepest cracks. It started as the faintest whisper, so small Rachel almost didn't notice, phone calls that Marcus would refuse to answer in front of her, or sudden changes in his schedule without explanation. Then came the nights he'd return home later and later. Still, Rachel tried to quiet her suspicions. She was, after all, pregnant with their first child, and didn't want to indulge in negative thoughts. She chalked up Marcus's absences to the pressures of running his real estate empire. Yet, a growing knot formed in her gut. She began to suspect that beneath Marcus's glamorous exterior lay a secret she could not name. As her pregnancy progressed, Rachel couldn't ignore the feeling that something was off. One afternoon, as she scrolled through social media, she stumbled upon a paparazzi-style photo. It was a grainy image, posted by a local gossip account. Marcus was in it, standing outside an unfamiliar cafe, leaning in close with a woman who wore a wide-brimmed hat. Rachel felt her heart pound. She magnified the image on her phone, trying to discern any telling detail of the woman's face. She could make out glossy black hair and a silhouette that suggested elegance, but the angle was too obscured to see more. Marcus brushed it off when confronted. "That's Valentina Russo, an associate from an Italian realty firm I might partner with. We were discussing a potential venture." He laughed it off, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You know how tabloid pictures can twist anything. Trust me, it's nothing." Rachel wanted to believe him, She yearned to be a supportive wife, especially with a baby on the way. She also knew it was normal for him to meet colleagues, especially from other countries, in casual settings to maintain cordial relations. As time ticked on, her intuition warred with her loyalty. She wanted to trust Marcus more than anything in the world. Yet, something about that photo, about the way he'd turned defensive, lingered in her mind. Valentina Russo was not just any associate. She was a formidable presence in the European real estate market, known for her sharp business instincts and her sophisticated style that turned heads wherever she went. Born in Venice, raised in Monte Carlo, she had an aura of refined poise that people described as mesmerizing. The daughter of Alan Russo, a magnate with ties to old European aristocracy, Valentina grew up sheltered, but had learned how to navigate the complexities of power from a young age. She first met Marcus at a luxury property expo in Vienna the year prior. Sparks flew, but they were contained at least momentarily. Marcus, in his crisp dark suit, had admired Valentina's strategic mind and witty banter as they sipped champagne in a corridor away from the official conference. Valentina, elegantly dressed in a tailored black dress and pearls, found herself enthralled by his ambition. Each recognized in the other an unyielding drive and, more perilously, a sense of shared loneliness hidden behind public success. When they parted ways that day, they exchanged business cards, though it was clear from the lingering eye contact that they were exchanging more than just professional intentions. Over the months that followed, they kept in touch. Their early conversations revolved around real estate trends, feasible collaborations, and market analyses. But soon, the lines blurred. The texts evolved from professional courtesy to personal confessions of long, stressful days and fleeting fantasies. By the time Rachel discovered that suspicious photo, Marcus and Valentina's rapport had crossed an unspoken line. Despite the pangs of guilt, Marcus justified his increasing emotional closeness to Valentina. He told himself that Rachel was preoccupied with her own design projects and the pregnancy. He reasoned he was simply forging a beneficial international partnership, but guilt isn't so easily silenced. Late at night, when he looked at Rachel sleeping, her arms gently wrapped around her growing belly, he felt an ache of shame. He told himself that if he managed to keep everything strictly confidential, no one would be hurt. After all, he still loved his wife, or at least he believed he did. As Rachel's due date inched closer, she decided to scale back her work commitments to focus on her health. That's when the signs became more pronounced. Marcus's late-night meetings skyrocketed, sometimes leading to nights he claimed to spend at a business partner's penthouse in the city because it was more convenient than driving back and forth. One Thursday morning, Eliza, who worked as an attorney at a reputable downtown law firm, called Rachel. "Are you okay? You sound worried every time we talk. You know you can tell me anything." Eliza, older by 2 years, had always been fiercely protective of her sister. Their bond was unbreakable. Still, Rachel hesitated. She didn't want to confirm her suspicions or speak them out loud, for fear they would become real. "I'm fine," she lied. "You know how it is, the baby's almost here. Marcus is busy, and I'm just anxious." Eliza wasn't entirely convinced. "Just promise you'll let me know if something is wrong." "I can always be there in a heartbeat," Rachel promised. But with each passing day, her world felt more fragile. She remembered the grainy image on that gossip account, how Marcus's posture leaned toward that woman. Then one day, when Rachel was tidying up Marcus's home office, she found a receipt that made her heart thunder in her chest. It was for a lavish diamond bracelet, far more expensive than the kind of gift Marcus would casually buy for a friend or colleague. Dated a week prior, the receipt bore Valentina Russo's name as the co-signer for insurance coverage. Her mind raced with scenarios. Could it be a joint business expense? A gift for an investor? The rationalizations felt hollow. No matter how she twisted it, something was deeply wrong. She stashed the receipt in her purse, unsure of her next move. That evening, Rachel noticed a faint smear of lipstick on the collar of one of Marcus's dress shirts. She recognized that shade of crimson as none of her own. She told herself that perhaps a coworker or friend had leaned in for a hug at an event, leaving the stain unintentionally. But the voices in her head wouldn't stop chanting the possibilities. He's cheating, he's lying. The rhythmic pounding in her ears nearly brought her to tears. In desperation, Rachel visited her friend and business confidant, Samantha Wang, who had partnered with her on several interior design projects. Over green tea, Rachel broke down. "I need to ask you something, Sam. If your husband was, if you suspected him of seeing someone else, what would you do?" Samantha's eyes widened. "Is this about Marcus?" Her voice softened. "Rachel, if you think something is going on, you need to find proof or talk to him openly. Marriage is built on communication, but if he's betraying you, you have every right to confront the truth." Rachel clutched the receipt in her trembling hands. "I don't know how to start that conversation. I'm afraid of what I might find, but I can't live with this doubt." She showed Samantha the diamond bracelet receipt and explained the circumstances. "That's definitely suspicious," Samantha admitted. "Listen, maybe you could find out more discreetly. If he's meeting someone, he must have a pattern. If you're not comfortable confronting him outright, maybe you can follow him." Rachel considered the idea. The thought of tailing her own husband felt distasteful, but she felt cornered by the mounting evidence. "You're right," she finally said. "I need to know for sure. I'm tired of living with half-truths and suspicions." The following week, Rachel enlisted Samantha's help. Armed with a modest baseball cap to hide her recognizable brunette curls, and Samantha's borrowed car, an inconspicuous sedan, Rachel waited outside Marcus's office. She watched him exit with his usual stride of confidence. He climbed into his own sleek black Mercedes, and she followed him at a distance. Her heart pounded as she trailed him through rush-hour traffic into the city's upscale district. Eventually, he parked in front of an exclusive hotel, the Regency. She felt her stomach lurch. As she watched, Marcus entered the lobby. Another 10 minutes passed before a taxi pulled up. Out stepped a stunning woman in a cream-colored dress, matching stilettos, and an elaborate updo of glossy black hair. Even from afar, Rachel recognized her from the paparazzi photo, Valentina Russo. The woman joined Marcus in the lobby, and they took the elevator, presumably to a suite. Rachel's worst fears were now given shape. Tears welled in her eyes, but she maintained her composure enough to snap a few photos from the distance. Proof, she told herself bitterly. She was watching her life unravel in real time. She left before she could further torture herself by imagining what went on upstairs. Later that night, Marcus came home as though nothing unusual had happened. He greeted Rachel with a kiss on the cheek and asked about her day. He mentioned that he'd had a crucial meeting with investors. Rachel tried to hide the tremor in her voice. "Everything go well?" she asked. "Yeah, it was fine," he replied, and she glimpsed a flicker of nervousness in his eyes. A few last-minute changes, but no big deal. The lies felt like knives. Rachel wanted to confront him right there, brandish the photos, but she held herself back. Something told her to wait, to gather more evidence, to see how far Marcus would go. Over the next days, Rachel felt trapped in a silent war. She had begun having nightmares of Marcus and Valentina laughing at her. Worse, she feared stress might hurt her baby, so she forced herself to practice yoga, prenatal massages, and anything that might calm her racing mind. But there was no genuine peace in her heart. The closeness she once shared with Marcus felt like a distant memory. She recalled the time he had proposed on a gondola in Venice, a grand, romantic gesture that had made international headlines in design and business circles alike. The ring he slipped on her finger that day sparkled with promise. Now, everything felt tainted. She longed to confide in Eliza, but worried her sister might react impulsively. Eliza was known for her fiery temper when it came to family matters. She would probably storm into Marcus's office and create a scene. Rachel wasn't ready for that. Not yet. She needed to decide how to handle this on her own terms. Meanwhile, Marcus continued to juggle two lives. He tended to Rachel with gestures that felt increasingly forced, bringing her herbal teas, rubbing her swollen feet, all while checking his phone incessantly. He also met Valentina under the guise of meetings or client dinners. Guilt gnawed at him, but he felt enthralled by Valentina's mystery, her cosmopolitan ways, and the adrenaline rush of secrecy. Valentina, for her part, was not entirely oblivious to Marcus's marriage. In fact, she knew Rachel was pregnant, but her own rationalizations painted Rachel as an obstacle to a love that was meant to be. She convinced herself that she and Marcus were intellectual soulmates, bound by high society and ambition. Perhaps that made her feel less guilty about tearing apart a family in the making. Everything changed one evening when Marcus arrived home looking unusually happy. He kissed Rachel more passionately than he had in months. Confused, she asked him what happened. He told her about a lavish business dinner he was invited to, something with high-profile investors and potential new projects. "They said I could bring a guest," he added, his eyes gleaming. "I know it's been a while since we went out. Would you like to come?" Rachel's heart skipped. She was torn between suspicion and an odd sense of relief. Was this an olive branch? "Yes, I'd love to," she said, searching his face. Marcus nodded, looking grateful. "It's next weekend at Chez Lumière, the new French restaurant at the waterfront. It's black tie, so we should pick you out something stunning." In the days leading up to the event, Rachel convinced herself that maybe Marcus was trying to repent, trying to bring her back into his world. She found a gorgeous emerald green gown that complemented her pregnant figure. Her hairdresser styled her hair in loose waves that framed her glowing face. Standing before the mirror, she felt a glimmer of hope. Could this be the night where they reconnected? Little did she know, Valentina would be there as well. Chez Lumière was the epitome of elegance, its high ceiling adorned with crystal chandeliers and walls lined with modern art. Soft violin music drifted through the air, mingling with the hushed clink of champagne glasses. Marcus and Rachel arrived, and he escorted her inside with a semblance of pride. Her arm looped through his, and for the first time in months, she felt almost certain that maybe they could salvage their marriage. Valets circled around them as they entered. The head waiter, recognizing Marcus, guided them to a grand table reserved for the evening's event. Rachel scanned the room, noticing well-dressed men and women engaged in lively conversation. Her stomach fluttered from both nerves and the baby's gentle kicks. Then, in a corner, her eyes locked on a familiar face, Valentina Russo, radiant in a red gown that matched her lipstick. Her pulse raced. Valentina was in deep conversation with a group of men who looked like bankers or investors. Rachel's throat went dry. Marcus noticed her shift. "Something wrong?" he asked quietly. Rachel forced a tight smile. "No, I'm fine. Just feeling a little anxious, that's all." He placed a reassuring hand on the small of her back. She couldn't discern if it was out of genuine concern or if he was suddenly hyper-conscious of how close his mistress was. The evening progressed as they mingled. Marcus introduced Rachel to potential clients and existing partners. She presented herself with grace, but her mind was elsewhere. Every once in a while, she saw Marcus glancing toward Valentina. The tension was palpable, at least to her. When dessert arrived, small plates of profiteroles drizzled with chocolate sauce, Valentina gracefully sauntered over to their table. "Marcus," she purred, her accent pronounced, "I'm so glad you could make it tonight." She then shifted her attention to Rachel. "And you must be Miss S. Wilmington. I've heard so much about your exquisite interior design." Her polite words were laced with subtle challenge. Rachel could feel it in the air. She forced a cordial smile. "Thank you. And you are?" "Valentina Russo," the woman replied, extending a slender hand. "Marcus and I are exploring an international collaboration." Rachel pressed her lips together, shaking her hand lightly. "I see," she said, measuring each word. It was the smallest interaction, yet it bristled with undercurrents of jealousy, secrets, and tension. Marcus cleared his throat and offered Valentina a chair. She declined with a wave of her hand, glancing at Rachel's pregnant belly with an almost imperceptible flicker in her eyes. Days after the dinner, the household atmosphere grew icier. Marcus tried to dismiss it, claiming he was simply exhausted from negotiations, but Rachel's composure was cracking. She had matched the face from that grainy gossip photo to the same glamorous woman in the red gown. She had observed their electric glances. She had seen enough. One night, unable to hold it any longer, she confronted Marcus in their bedroom. "You're having an affair with Valentina, aren't you?" she demanded, her voice trembling with controlled fury. Marcus's face went white. "Where is this coming from? Don't insult me," she spat, tears brimming in her eyes. The secret meetings, the phone calls, the diamond bracelet receipt. "I even followed you to that hotel once." "You think I'm blind?" he stammered. "Rachel, it's complicated. It started out as business. I never meant for it to go this far." Her pregnant belly felt heavier than ever. "So you admit it?" He averted his gaze. "Yes," he whispered, voice filled with shame. Rachel erupted in tears, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. Furious, she hurled every question at him. "How could you do this to us, to our baby? Did you ever love me?" The onslaught of her anguish broke something within Marcus. He collapsed onto the bed, burying his face in his hands. "I do love you," he insisted. "I never wanted to hurt you. I got swept up in it. The business deals, the European trips, Valentina's aura. It became addictive, like stepping into a different life." His words only deepened her heartbreak. She grabbed her suitcase, the one she kept in the closet for quick business trips, and began haphazardly throwing clothes inside. Marcus sprang to his feet. "What are you doing?" "I'm leaving," she managed through choked sobs. "I can't stay here, not right now." He tried to stop her, but she held up her hand. "If you come near me, I swear I'll call Eliza and have you served with separation papers tomorrow." Marcus froze, reading the conviction in her eyes. He watched, helpless, as she slammed the bedroom door behind her. Rachel drove through the night, tears streaming down her cheeks, until she reached Eliza's townhouse on the other side of the city. She pounded on the door, trembling. Eliza opened it, alarmed at the sight of her sister's tear-stained face and packed suitcase. Without a word, she pulled Rachel into a tight embrace. Through heaving sobs, Rachel recounted the entire ordeal. Eliza's expression changed from concern to pure rage. "That bastard," she hissed. "He dares to do this while you're carrying his child." Rachel spent the night on Eliza's couch, struggling to sleep, haunted by memories of Marcus's confession. She feared for her unborn baby, worried that the stress might harm it. The next morning, Eliza prepared a comforting breakfast, but Rachel could hardly eat. "What are you going to do?" Eliza asked gently. Rachel shook her head. "I don't know. I'm furious, but I'm also heartbroken and confused. Part of me wants to end everything right now. Another part of me. I still love him, Eliza." Eliza put a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to decide this minute. You can stay here as long as you want. I support whatever you choose." In the days that followed, Marcus sent endless texts and voicemails, begging Rachel to return. He apologized, promised it was over with Valentina, vowed to do whatever it took to salvage their marriage. Rachel read each message with tearful eyes but never replied. She felt both fury and longing. Betrayal and heartbreak do not vanish overnight. Valentina's reaction was far more calculating. When she learned that Marcus's wife had discovered their affair, she expected him to choose. In her mind, the choice was obvious. Marcus would leave the pregnant wife for the sophisticated mistress. It was a storyline she'd seen play out in her father's social circles more than once. But as the days stretched and Marcus seemed hesitant, Valentina found herself growing impatient and offended. One evening, she confronted Marcus at a suite they shared occasionally. "What's this, Marcus? Are you really going to let me slip away for that old vow of marriage? She can't possibly make you happier than I can. We have synergy in business, in lifestyle. I'm already setting up a network for you in Monaco." Marcus rubbed his temples, tension radiating through his body. "Valentina, you don't understand," he said. "Rachel is carrying my child. We've built a life together. I'm not some heartless monster who can walk away without even trying to fix things." Valentina's face hardened. "So what am I to you then? A fling?" He hesitated. "No, you're not just a fling. You mean something to me, but everything is spiraling. I need time." Valentina pressed her red lips together. Time was the last thing she wanted to grant him. In the world she knew, men with power took what they wanted, swiftly and decisively. "Fine," she said tersely. "Just remember that I won't wait forever." In the midst of this chaos, Rachel's mother, Diane Myers, arrived in town. Worried sick after hearing the news from Eliza, she insisted on staying with Rachel at Eliza's. Diane was a gentle soul, but she had a quiet strength honed from raising two daughters after her husband's untimely death. She took Rachel's hands. "My dear girl, you look so exhausted. Are you taking care of yourself? Remember, stress affects the baby." Rachel nodded numbly. "I'm trying. I'm seeing my doctor tomorrow." At the doctor's appointment, the OB-GYN noted that Rachel's blood pressure was a bit high. "You need to rest," the doctor advised. "Try to keep your stress levels down. Meditation, walks, light exercise, anything to keep you calm." Rachel knew how important it was, yet how could she remain calm with everything going on? That evening, Diane spoke to her in a gentle but firm tone. "Look, I'm not telling you what to do, but remember, you have a child to protect now. If Marcus is truly remorseful, and if you believe you can forgive him, maybe you two can work through it. But if he's toxic, I'll stand by you. I just want you and the baby to be safe and happy." Rachel sighed. "That's the part I don't know, Mum. Is he truly remorseful, or is he just panicking because he got caught?" 2 weeks passed without Rachel responding to Marcus. Then, one day, Eliza answered her phone and told her, "Marcus wants a chance to speak with you. He says it's urgent." Initially, Rachel refused, but curiosity and lingering love won out. She agreed to meet him at a neutral location, a small Italian restaurant near Eliza's house. That evening, she arrived late, wearing a simple black maternity dress. Marcus was already there, a haunted look in his eyes. "Thank you for coming," he said, standing awkwardly. They settled into a corner table. Rachel refused to meet his gaze at first, focusing instead on the candle flickering between them. Marcus wasted no time pleading his case. He explained how the affair started, how it escalated. "It was never about me wanting to leave you," he said. "I got swept away by the excitement, by Valentina's world. It's no excuse, but it's the truth. I want to fix this. I'm willing to go to counseling, cut off all ties with Valentina, whatever it takes." Rachel's hands shook under the table. "How do I believe any of this?" she whispered. "You lied to me for months. I followed you to that hotel, Marcus. Do you know how humiliating that was? Marcus reached for her hand. She pulled away. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I'm asking you to give me a chance. For the sake of our child, if nothing else. His desperate tone stirred something within her. She realized she still loved him, but love alone could not erase the betrayal. I'll consider counseling, she finally said, her voice shaky. But you have to give me space, Marcus. I'm not moving back yet. Marcus nodded, relief washing over him. That's fair, thank you. But unbeknownst to them, a pair of eyes watched from across the restaurant, half hidden behind a menu. Valentina, seated with a business contact, recognized them the moment they walked in. Jealousy and rage simmered under her composed exterior. She noted the length of their conversation, the occasional brush of hands. She had never been a woman easily discarded. Valentina realized that if Marcus genuinely cut ties with her, it would be a blow not only to her ego, but also to her business aspirations. She was building a transatlantic empire, and Marcus's resources were crucial. She decided she had to make a move that would force his hand. She called Marcus the next day, but he didn't pick up. Angered, she resorted to a final card. She visited the head office of Wilmington Properties unannounced. Striding into the lobby, she demanded to see Marcus. His secretary, Candice, looked startled. He's in a meeting, she stammered. I'll wait, Valentina said coolly, taking a seat. When Marcus finally emerged, he looked tense. Valentina, what are you doing here? He hissed, guiding her into a private conference room. We need to talk, she said, her voice steely. I can't just watch you walk away as though nothing happened. Marcus sighed, running a hand through his neatly styled hair. You know how complicated this is. Rachel is pregnant. I need to save my marriage. Valentina's eyes narrowed. And where does that leave me? He lowered his voice. I'm sorry, I never intended for this to go so far. She studied him, her lips curling into a half smile that wasn't friendly. You might want to reconsider. I have evidence, photos, messages, enough to cause a scandal that could destroy your reputation. Imagine the tabloids, Marcus. The business repercussions. Investors spooked, partners pulling out. Are you prepared for that? Marcus's face drained of color. Are you threatening me? Valentina shrugged, placing a USB drive on the table. I'm merely stating facts. I don't want to use it, but if you push me aside, I will, and your precious wife will be humiliated further. Is that what you want? Marcus's mind raced, panic setting in. If Valentina leaked everything, his deals, public image, and relationship with Rachel could be irreversibly damaged. But what could he do? He stared at the USB drive like it was a live grenade. What do you want from me? Dinner. Tonight, she said calmly, at Pier d'Or. Let's discuss how we can continue discreetly, or at least part on more amicable terms. Marcus hesitated, an internal battle raging. Eventually, the fear of scandal won out. Fine, he said, tonight. And so the stage was set for the fateful dinner at Pier d'Or. Marcus was cornered, forced to meet Valentina. Meanwhile, Rachel, after an afternoon counseling session discussing the possibility of reconciliation, decided to surprise Marcus at his office to see if he wanted to grab a quiet dinner, perhaps a small step toward mending fences. She arrived at Wilmington Properties late in the evening, only to find the place nearly empty. Candice informed her that Marcus had left earlier. He mentioned something about a dinner meeting at Pier d'Or, Candice said. Rachel blinked. Did he say who it was with? No, Miss S. Wilmington, he didn't. A prickling sensation ran down Rachel's spine. She thanked Candice and left. In the car, she contemplated what to do. Her heart hammered. Was Marcus betraying her again? Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Marcus, working late on a potential deal. Might be home after 10. Rest well. He was lying again, shaking. Rachel dialed Eliza. I need you, she said, her voice breaking. Within minutes, Eliza was in the passenger seat. Pier d'Or, let's go, Rachel muttered. Pier d'Or was an upscale seafood restaurant on the coast, known for its panoramic views and romantic ambience. As Rachel and Eliza walked in, the hostess tried to direct them to a waiting area, but Rachel spotted Marcus in a dimly lit corner. Sure enough, sitting across from him was Valentina, wearing a sultry black dress, eyes locked on him. Eliza clenched her teeth. "Let's go expose that piece of—" Rachel stopped her, her face pale but resolute. "I'll do it." Heart pounding, Rachel approached. She saw Marcus's eyes widen in horror. Valentina turned, surprise momentarily flickering across her features before she regained her composure. Rachel's pregnant belly was unmistakable in her fitted wrap dress. "Marcus," Rachel said, her voice quivering, "so this is your late-night business meeting?" Marcus stood abruptly. "Rachel, it's not." Valentina leaned back, swirling a glass of wine in her hand. "We're discussing certain severance terms." Eliza stepped up, furious. "You have no shame, do you?" She glared at Marcus. "You told her you were ending this." Rachel's eyes brimmed with tears of betrayal. "I gave you a chance to prove yourself, Marcus. You said you'd cut ties. I had to come," Marcus insisted, voice trembling. "She's blackmailing me, threatening to release evidence that will ruin my business and humiliate you." Valentina shrugged. "I'll do it too, unless you maintain a friendly arrangement." Eliza grabbed a glass of water from a passing waiter's tray and hurled it at Valentina, drenching her hair and dress. "Friendly enough for you," she spat, unrepentant of the scene she was creating. Valentina screeched and leaped up, her face contorting with anger. She lunged at Eliza, but Marcus held her back. Restaurant patrons craned their necks. Waiters rushed over, flustered. The entire fiasco was out in the open now. Rachel stood there, tears falling silently, feeling her heart break a second time. The entire city, it seemed, would hear of this scandal by morning. Marcus reached for her, fear in his eyes. "Rachel, I'm sorry. I was trying to protect our reputation, protect you." She stepped away, holding her belly protectively. "Protect me," she echoed bitterly. By meeting her behind my back again, Valentina smoothed her wet hair. "Face it, Rachel, your husband will always be tied to me, whether you like it or not." Rachel shook her head, tears streaming. "No, I won't let you hold us hostage like this," Valentina sneered. "We'll see." The events at Pier d'Or went viral instantly. A few diners recorded parts of the confrontation. Tabloid journalists descended on the story like vultures, plastering headlines such as "Millionaire's double life exposed" and "Wife, sister duel with Mistress." Rachel felt sick every time she saw a new article. Marcus found himself buried under calls from concerned investors, employees worried about job security, and a rising wave of scandal that threatened to topple his empire. In the face of public humiliation, Rachel retreated further into Eliza's townhouse. She refused to see Marcus, except during therapy sessions they had already scheduled. Valentina, for her part, gleefully fanned the flames of controversy. She gave cryptic quotes to the press, hinting that she held damning information about Marcus's business dealings, though she never provided anything concrete. Behind the scenes, Marcus scrambled. He hired a crisis management team to handle the PR fallout. He also consulted with lawyers to see if Valentina's blackmail could be countered. "We need actual evidence she's lying about the business side," his head attorney told him. "Otherwise, it's her word against yours." Desperate to save face, Marcus made a strategic move. He authorized a thorough audit of his own company to ensure everything was above board, effectively removing any ammunition Valentina might have. Then, with legal counsel present, he confronted Valentina in a boardroom meeting. He demanded she hand over all materials she had, threatening legal action for slander and extortion if she didn't comply. Furious, Valentina eventually relented handing over the USB drive. She parted with a final, venomous threat: "You'll regret crossing me." Weeks passed, and the scandal gradually cooled in the public's fickle eye, replaced by the next juicy headline. But the damage to Marcus's business and reputation was done. More importantly, the damage to his marriage loomed over them. Rachel, physically and emotionally drained, approached her due date. She continued therapy solo, while Marcus did the same. Eventually, they started attending sessions together again. In one session, Dr. Joseph Green, their therapist, asked, "What do you truly want from each other at this point?" Rachel spoke softly, tears in her eyes. "I want the man I married back. I want honesty, loyalty, and safety for my child. But I don't know if I can trust him again." Marcus swallowed hard, blinking away tears of his own. "I want my family whole. I've learned my lesson. I was selfish and prideful. I realize now I was chasing an illusion. I want to be a better man, husband, and father." They delved deeper into the root causes of Marcus's infidelity: the childhood poverty, the need for external validation, the excitement of living on the edge. Rachel discussed her fears of inadequacy, especially with her pregnancy overshadowing her career. Their raw honesty left them in tears by the end of each session. Yet, they also found slivers of understanding, small threads that might be woven back into a life together. Rachel set conditions: total transparency with phones, emails, and finances, indefinite separation until trust could be rebuilt, continued therapy for both. Marcus agreed to all of it, eager to prove himself. He cut all personal and professional ties with Valentina, who had quietly returned to Europe amid some rumors of her father recalling her to Monaco. As Rachel neared her 9th month of pregnancy, a sense of impending change settled over her. Despite the heartbreak, she found solace in the idea of her child, the small life that would soon join her in the world. One night, as she tried to relax in Eliza's living room, the baby began to stir with more intensity than usual. Then a sharp pain ripped through her abdomen. "Eliza!" she cried, clutching the couch. Eliza rushed in, panic flashing across her face. My water broke, I think," Rachel gasped. They hurried to the hospital. Rachel's mother arrived soon after, followed by a frantic Marcus, who had been alerted by Eliza. He practically sprinted into the maternity ward, anxiety etched all over his face. Despite the emotional gulf between them, Rachel allowed Marcus into the delivery room. In that moment, all that mattered was bringing their baby safely into the world. Hours later, Rachel's screams subsided, replaced by the tiny cry of a newborn, a baby girl. Tears of profound relief and overwhelming love flooded Rachel's eyes as she cradled her daughter for the first time. Marcus stood beside the bed, his hand gently on Rachel's shoulder, silent tears streaming down his cheeks. They named her Aurora, meaning dawn, symbolizing a new beginning. As Aurora's cries softened, Rachel and Marcus shared a look. There was so much left unspoken, so many wounds still fresh. But in that precious moment, they felt bound by the fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, they could start again. Rachel spent the first few weeks after Aurora's birth at Eliza's townhouse, seeking a haven of quiet support during a time of both physical exhaustion and emotional upheaval. The labor and delivery had taken a heavy toll, and the mixture of hormonal fluctuations, lack of sleep, and raw heartbreak was almost too much to bear. Eliza, fiercely protective, insisted that Rachel rest as much as possible. She prepared nourishing soups and herbal teas, and even set up a makeshift nursery in her home office so Aurora would be within earshot of Rachel at all times. In the early mornings, while the world still slept, Rachel would sit on the living room sofa, cradling Aurora and reflecting on the chaos that had engulfed her life. She found herself torn between the sorrow of Marcus's betrayal and the unimaginable joy of holding her newborn daughter. Occasionally, Grief would overcome her. She would cry silently into Aurora's soft blankets, wondering if her marriage could truly be salvaged after everything that had happened. Each time, Eliza appeared, ready with a comforting arm around her shoulders, letting her know she wasn't alone. Marcus, for his part, visited daily, always arriving with something in hand, be it the groceries. Eliza had requested a new supply of diapers or little plush toys for Aurora. Initially, Rachel kept her distance, letting Eliza handle any interactions at the door, but it was impossible to ignore the genuine remorse etched into Marcus's eyes. He hovered near Aurora's bassinet whenever Rachel would let him, gingerly lifting his daughter as if she were made of porcelain. He would rock her, cooing softly, often murmuring his apologies under his breath, as though pleading forgiveness from the tiny infant in his arms. Though Marcus yearned to bring Rachel and Aurora home immediately, Eliza laid down firm boundaries. "Don't think for 1 second I'm letting you waltz back into her life as though nothing happened," she warned him one afternoon, her voice as sharp as the glare she leveled at him. "Rachel might forgive you in time, but I'll never forget what you put her through when she was at her most vulnerable." Marcus swallowed his pride. "I understand," he said, shoulders sagging. "I don't deserve an easy road, and I know it." He made a promise to Rachel, to Eliza, and to himself that he would do whatever it took to prove he was serious about saving this family. As the weeks passed, Rachel could no longer deny that Marcus was making an effort. He texted updates about the house, how he'd replaced their old bedroom curtains with blackout drapes to help the baby sleep, how he'd rearranged furniture in the living room to accommodate the bassinet and baby swing. He also disclosed every detail of his finances, phone records, and day-to-day schedule without Rachel even asking. When she did ask, he answered questions about the affair, every excruciating detail, despite it clearly tormenting him. He spent hours in therapy, both individual and couples sessions, often emerging puffy-eyed and exhausted. Despite her fury, Rachel began to see that the man who'd succumbed to Valentina's charms was not beyond redemption. Late at night, when the household grew calm and Aurora drifted to sleep, Rachel allowed Marcus to stay a bit longer in the living room. They would speak in hushed tones about their hopes and fears, with Aurora's gentle breathing a rhythmic reminder of what they stood to lose if they couldn't reconcile. Sometimes the conversations ended in tears, other times in a cautious acceptance that they still cared for each other. Inch by painful inch, a tenuous thread of trust started to weave itself back between them. Finally, as Aurora approached 1 month old, Rachel decided it was time to return to the home she had once shared with Marcus. She made her terms clear. They would sleep in separate bedrooms, and she would revisit her decision only if and when she felt safe and respected. Marcus agreed without hesitation, relieved just to have them under the same roof. He took to baby-proofing the house, a comical gesture considering Aurora was far from crawling, and stocked the fridge with healthy meals and snacks for Rachel. On the day Rachel arrived with a yawning, wide-eyed Aurora in her arms, Marcus stood by the front door, quietly watching them cross the threshold. It was a moment of understated significance. The wife he had betrayed and the daughter he vowed to protect were returning not as a family restored, but as a family in the fragile process of healing. Though the unspoken tension was thick, and heartbreak lingered like a bruise that had yet to fade, there was a glimmer of hope in every step Rachel took down the hall. For each carefully chosen boundary, each uneasy conversation, and every late-night vigil beside Aurora's crib, they were forging a new path, one in which love, trust, and redemption might just coexist, if they were both brave enough to fight for it. Just when life seemed to settle, Valentina Russo resurfaced in the tabloids. A series of photographs emerged, showing her in cozy proximity to a foreign dignitary. Speculation ran wild about her involvement in some new high-profile scandal. Marcus hoped she would remain far away from his family's life. Meanwhile, Rachel, focusing on motherhood and her interior design projects, found less and less time to even think of Valentina. Then came a phone call out of the blue. Marcus answered on the living room phone, only to hear Valentina's voice. "Hello, darling," she said casually, as if no time had passed. His stomach sank. "What do you want, Valentina?" "To let you know I'm leaving for London. My father wants me to oversee a new venture. I just thought you should know." In case you still had second thoughts, Marcus clenched the phone. "I have no second thoughts. My family is my priority." A slight pause. "Is that so? Well, sometimes I wonder if you'll miss me, dear. But do as you wish. Goodbye, Marcus." She ended the call. Marcus exhaled, feeling a weight lift from his chest. A final attempt, he thought. As he turned around, he found Rachel standing in the doorway, Aurora cradled in her arms. "Who was that?" she asked softly. He gazed at her, then walked over to gently stroke Aurora's cheek. "Valentina. She's leaving the country." He met Rachel's eyes. "That chapter is over." Rachel exhaled, relief flooding her eyes. She leaned her forehead against Aurora's small head, feeling tears threaten to spill. "It's a new beginning for us," Marcus said, trying to sound hopeful. Rachel nodded, though she didn't smile. "New beginnings," she echoed. Part of her still feared the pain might return, but a part of her wanted to believe that broken things could mend. Months later, the Wilmington saga became less of a hot topic. Marcus's business, while it took a blow, was gradually stabilizing. Rachel, with Aurora in tow, resumed managing some design projects from home. They continued therapy, and though the scars of betrayal had not vanished, they learned ways to navigate them. In an attempt at full transparency, Marcus made Rachel a co-signatory on all major business decisions. He handed her full access to every account and even introduced her to investors as an integral advisor. With time, Rachel's suspicion began to ease. She saw Marcus turn down after work events, no longer mixing personal pleasures with professional obligations. The longing in his eyes was not for another life, but to restore the family he nearly destroyed. As Aurora reached 6 months, Rachel and Marcus decided to renew their vows in a small, private ceremony by the lake where they had first confessed their love years ago. Surrounded by close friends and family, Eliza keeping a watchful, protective eye, Diane dabbing at her tears with a lace handkerchief, they spoke words of regret, forgiveness and commitment. Aurora, in a tiny white dress, gurgled happily in Rachel's arms, oblivious to the drama that had once torn her parents apart. When the officiant pronounced them anew, Marcus kissed Rachel's forehead softly, tears glistening in their eyes. They were still healing, each day a reminder of how fragile love could be, but also how resilient it was when both hearts chose to mend. And so, amid the quiet hush of waves lapping the shore, the Wilmingtons began their next chapter. The memory of Valentina and the affair that rocked their world would remain a deep scar, but also a testament to the lessons learned about loyalty, honesty, and the unbreakable bond of a family fighting to stay together. In the end, Marcus Wilmington paid a heavy price for his secret tryst with the alluring Valentina Russo. What began as a surge of passion nearly cost him his marriage, his reputation, and the stable home he and Rachel were creating for their daughter, Aurora. Through painful revelations, raw honesty, and an unwavering commitment to rebuild, Marcus and Rachel discovered that even the deepest betrayals can be mended, though scars remain as reminders of the cost of deceit. Their renewed vows by the lakeside marked not just the closure of a turbulent chapter, but the dawn of a second chance at love. Thank you for joining us on this roller coaster journey of love, betrayal, and redemption. If you found this story gripping and heartfelt, please consider liking the video, sharing it with friends, and subscribing to our channel. Together, let's continue exploring real-life dramas, inspiring stories, and lessons that touch the soul. Your support means everything. Stay tuned for more.